Well, hello, hello, hello. It's good to have you back from all your meetings and back in Sunday school. So I hope this is a timely message, timely Sunday school class. We're going to look at Mark chapter 12, verses 13 to 17 today. And it's a fairly familiar passage, probably. It's about paying taxes. Jesus is again being trapped, or they're attempting to trap Jesus with their fancy questions. If you haven't read the passage, Mark 12, 13 to 17, then stop the video and read it, and then come on back. All right, on the surface, this is, again, probably a fairly familiar passage. It's quoted a lot. Render unto Caesar what is owed to Caesar, render unto God what's owed to God. Typically, it's a stewardship kind of message. And it is pretty straightforward. Obviously, what's going on is the religious leaders are trying to trap Jesus and getting him to do one of two things. To come down and say, hey, listen, you shouldn't pay taxes to Caesar, which of course would outrage the Romans, and they would have a reason to put him to death. Or they want the other side, equally effective as far as they're concerned, is to get him to say, hey, you need to pay your taxes to Rome. And of course, that would inflame the crowd that's following him, following and hanging around, because the Romans were an occupying force; they were well hated, and to say, hey, you got to pay your taxes to Rome is tantamount to saying, support your oppressors. And so, and Jesus is one of these. It's sort of a damned if you do and damned if you don't kind of thing. And of course, Jesus outsmarts them. The outsmarting piece, it looks pretty straightforward. I mean, it's very simple. Show me the coin, he says. They bring him a coin. He says, whose image is on it? They say it's Caesar's. He says, so give to Caesar what's owed Caesar, because you're using his coinage, obviously, and give to God what you owe God. There's more to this, though, than that. And that is, if you scroll back up, or if you have a paper Bible, turn back a page or two, you will see that all of this is taking place in the temple. And that's a key, because there's this thou shalt not have any graven images from the Ten Commandments is a part of their culture. And in fact, it's so much a part of their culture that they could not have any statuary, they couldn't have coins that had the images of any person on it, or I believe any animal either. But in any event, no graven images, especially of people, or of God, or la la la. And that's why we have the money changers that we see in John and the other Gospels, that where Jesus comes in and he turns the tables over the money changers because they were cheating people. Because what they were doing is they were coming into the outer court where almost anything goes. Gentiles were allowed there, so they were unclean places, supposedly. And the people would bring in their coins, which were the common coin of the day, so the Caesar's coin, the Roman coinage, and they would exchange it, money exchange, for a temple shekel, which had no graven images of the prohibited kind there. And they would take that in, and they would pay their temple tax inside the temple. And then, of course, this is very much like a Chuck E. Cheese kind of thing, where you buy your coin, you go in, you spend your coin, and then they go out and they get all the coins and they resell them. And so there's really not a lot of money exchanging going on. It's pure and simple a swindle. In the nature of the law, because we wouldn't want those graven images in the temple, which of course is this whole thing. Jesus is in the temple, and he says, show me a Roman coin, which they have hung themselves already, because they have brought a graven image into the temple, which of course makes them, if you will, pretty guilty in the eyes of all the crowd watching, and it would not have been lost on the crowd. So there's your discussion points, to discuss, if you will. Jesus is turning the tables on those who were trying to trap him. He essentially entrapped them, which of course infuriated them to no end. Talk about the conversations that we might have, or the traps that are set for us in the world by people asking us pointed questions about the faith. What kind of responses can we make? What can we learn from what Jesus taught us? So there's your background. Hope you have some good discussion, and I'll see you next week.